Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our CPL Civ 6 weekly podcast. This is number 13. I'm Sarnath. Joining me, as always, King Louis XIV as my co-host. We have 3 guests tonight. Go ahead and introduce yourselves, gentlemen.
Always let the guests go first.
All right. Hello, I am the Mysterious X.
I'm Blade 7.
And I'm Red Panda.
I'm King Louis XIV, and praise Jamba as always.
John with my ass.
We have a lot to cover. We had the first look come out, and it is Korea. So if you guys are participating into that contest going on in the CivPlayers League for guessing the leaders and the Civs that are going to be in the expansion, hope you guys got your first guess right, because the 2 top winners, if they get the most right, are getting the expansion paid for.
Oh, that's pretty good. How much is the expansion?
It's like $30.
That's pretty good.
I don't know what it is in the overseas, but it's always like they're always $30 in the US. Yeah, they all the way back to like 4. I remember they're always about $30.
Yeah.
Hey, I'd happily save $30 in my wallet.
I am really excited for the special campus district for Korea because of the half cost. Although
not only is it half cost, but you aren't restricted by mountains. Like, that was the first thing I thought of. Is
you get +6, right?
I can put these anywhere I want.
Exactly. Like,
are you studying hard in high school so you can get half cost university when you make it there?
That is, yeah, exactly. Well, I'm going to be a lawyer, so hey.
That was so good, Louis.
That was pretty good. But no, seriously, like, a lot of people discount mountain adjacencies and how powerful they are. Someone who spawns with a couple +5s, even 1 +5, compared to someone who spawns with like a +2 and a +3, that means I have to build 2 campus districts to get the same amount of science out of adjacencies as you are.
Right.
And then when you bring into account the double adjacency card later from record history, like, that's a huge amount. And because I'm very interested to see how Korea interacts with that, actually, because it's a flat adjacency. I don't know if we know what that number is yet. And
it's
then
+6.
So it starts as a +6. So that means you put a campus in a spot where it normally would get no adjacency, and instead it gets a +6. And then you just build your districts on the other side of the city and get as many mines around that campus as you can. And you're going to get like anywhere from 6 to 12 science off of the adjacency.
So it goes down.
I don't think that.
Does the adjacency go down if you put things next to it, so you can't put stuff next to it?
The +6, I don't think it.
Districts next to it, it's a -1. So if you put 1 district next to the campus, it's now a 5 adjacency.
Oh, that's so good. I was expecting it to be a -2.
I don't think it costs with an adjacency, though, because
yes, it does.
It does, because
it showed in the reveal, and when you're looking on the stat, it says it's a -1 adjacency per district that's adjacent to the campus, but it's a +1 if it's adjacent to your 1 government district. So it could be a +7 and say like your capital, but everything else is going to be a +6. But since it is a flat bonus, I'm not sure if that adjacency card is going to work for it or not, because it's not really adjacency.
Right. That's what I mean by it. Counting,
so you don't get the double and the 50%. Yeah, you might just get, but that's still really good. They just start with 6.
I highly expect it to work. Honestly, I don't expect them to create and implement an entirely new system.
Yeah,
it's not a new system. It's just it's like, here's 6 science. I'm not sure if that's going to count.
No, but it may not be a new system, but they're going to. That would be a very special case implementation in one of like the core yields, which is not something they've ever done for any other Civ. It's like it creates special exemptions.
Well, it's kind of like talking about how Purchase Immortal is special to any other ranged and melee unit, because it.
And look how many bugs there are with that.
That's true. At the same time, it's good. When this Korea first comes out, there's going to be bugs with it.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think it's supposed to work with recorded history simply because in the video, when they talk about it, they label it as an adjacency bonus.
Right.
Therefore, it should qualify under all modifiers, terms, exemptions, and mentions thereof referring to adjacencies.
Right. So, I feel like if it does apply to recorded history, it's going to be insane.
We literally have the scientific equivalent of Germany now.
Yeah, if not more. If not more.
With it, and since I highly suspect all the hill bias, holy crap! Like
You're gonna have
good
all the production,
too.
and you're gonna have the science. You're gonna have the science early on, even before Germany, because they need to get to the medieval era to survive the people targeting him to get the Hanzas out.
And honestly, they make me want to rush to record history. Me, I'm gonna go through civil service, and so that means I'm gonna have like some of the. I'm gonna be in the upper half of culture in an 6-8 person game.
Let's just immediately ban it so nobody ever gets to use it. That's a solution.
I mean, with 9 civs coming out, if even half of them are as powerful as this one, and as we expect this one to be, like, oh man, we're going to see a lot less bans in general, just because we're going to see the power level come up. And I highly expect beyond the 9 civs to come out, for them to do some general balance changes to some of the civs like they've done in the past. Right. They won't advertise it. Some of it may not even be in the patch notes, but like they've done it with pretty much every patch except. So
why is that's gonna make me sound like a huge noob, which I pretty much am. But why is Germany? I've never even played Germany. What is so? They have a super powerful industrial zone. What's the deal with Germany?
Let me put it this way: the game I was talking about earlier, where I got first because no one warned me for 40 turns, and no one warned me. Period.
That'll do it.
I had my capital up to 75 production. And it was in the middle of the desert, flat desert. I didn't get Petra. The Hansa builds in halftime. It gets plus 2.5 production for every adjacent campus, plus 1 production for every adjacent bonus resource that's moved, and then it gets I think it still gets the normal 9 bonuses.
And it builds everything in half the time.
That's right.
It built the industrial district itself builds in half the time, and so you can end up with when you've built certain formations, you can end up with like plus 20 or plus 30 even in Hanzas if you do it right. On average, SI players usually hit somewhere between 15 and 20, but that's still a lot of production, and that's production early, and then you get to put the guilds card on top of that when you hit. Which is double your industrial zone adjacency bonuses. So all of a sudden that plus 15 becomes plus 30.
When that plus 30 becomes plus 60.
So even in a duel, it's too much, which is why it's banned, right? That even in a duel, you can't get there fast enough to overcome that.
Exactly.
But in a duel, it's a 1v1 to where you have to fend off like a horse rush early on. So you're not just going to be able to sit there for 30 turns to get your industrials down. You have to do that while fighting, because the other guy's not going to just let you sit on your ass and just not do anything.
But it's still too much, right? Because it's still like you could, even in a duel, it's too powerful. You can't. It's why it has to be banned. Even in duels, it's just too much.
Right. It's way too much.
It's too much left to chance.
What about if they played Nubia? Is that a counter? Is Nubia against Germany? Is Germany still going to win?
No. Nubia is not going to know. Nubia, like, sure, the range units, like, you can pump out easily 1 Petiti Archer per turn during the ancient era, but it's still not going to be enough because you can't.
So Germany would still win? Nubia versus
Germany would still win. Yeah.
Distance.
It really depends. One on distance.
Close,
yeah.
Then Nubia will crush them. Because Nubia will crush just about anybody that's in close distance.
But in our tournament, since it's a tiny map, that Nubia might lose. I mean, Nubia probably would lose because they probably wouldn't be close.
We actually tested this, Louis. Like, I played Nubia against you. I spawned. You were playing Brazil, but like same principle in the early game. Hey, like Hanzas aren't going to go up for Germany until turn 30-40.
Right.
But if they spawn at the edge of the tiny map, then you're going to have time. But you spawned like 10 squares away from me, so it was, I had no chance. But if you spawned at the other end of the tiny map, then that'd be a whole different.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course. It's really distance.
So, not only does Korea get the bonus from the mines being adjacent to these campuses, they also get the farms get a food bonus so that they can grow fast to use all these tiles.
Yeah.
You're going to have cities turning into population powerhouses.
Like we're talking about instead of like right now the best you can get unless you're like Khmer or someone is that 7 food marsh or sugar farm. That's going to be a 8 for them, and the like weed is going to be a 4-1, and with a windmill that's a 5-1. It's going to stack up. Like I get weak capitals with 3 or 4 weed all the time. It's definitely not uncommon.
So could you see us doing something like when the expansion comes out, just have like a week or two where you're not allowed to ban any civs, so we can just see what's up with with all the civs compared to the so-called OP civs and see what's really up?
I don't know if we could do that as a league, but we can definitely encourage individual hosts to be like, hey, try hosting a no ban game, and so you can, like, your game would be an example of how things work.
I got Blaze was willing. That's it. Nobody else would join it. I tried to do a Gilligan's Island no ban game.
You gotta do stuff like that at the right time, and you gotta give people forward notice. That's why we try and use the premier games to like test some of these things out, because they don't have that many, or we let the skilled players plan ahead, and usually by about 3 or 4 days, and we'll usually fill up those pretty quick when the time actually comes.
I give the most obscure references of anybody in the CPL, I think, right, Sarna?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I think everyone who plays has no idea what the word sports even means, because they don't really go outside. Like you tell them that they should go outside for their health, they just grab the extension cord and the desk and they go outside with their computer and keep playing Civ.
Yeah, so not only do I do sports that that people don't know, I do sports references from where I wasn't even born yet, and it's an international audience. There's 2 levels of obscurity that I do, like about Red Auerbach. Like nobody knows who Red Auerbach is. I mean, Sarn knows, probably I know, but that's about it.
So, another thing with the Korean leader, right? Their trait, their Civ trait, is the first one we got to see that interacts with governors, and it's specifically targeted toward culture.
Yeah,
that ability is extremely weak.
Yeah,
it's not gonna be viable at all, because
it's one of those situational things, really.
It's not even situational; it's just crap. You have a maximum of 7 governors that you could earn, and it's only 5% within that one city. So let's assume you have a total of 7 cities. Each city is doing 20 science per turn. So your empire is doing 140 science per turn, which is not bad for 7 cities. So you plop in 1 governor in each one of those cities, and now each city is doing 5%. Well, 5% of 20 science is 1 science. So instead of making 140 science per turn, you're making a whopping 147. It's just not worth it. It's crap. You might as well take your governors, and I predict, since we only have 7, we're going to see governors anywhere between 2 to 4. So if you have 2, you're going to have 1 that's a level 3 and 1 that's a level 4. If you have 4, you're going to have 3 of them that are level 2s and 1 be a level 1. So it's going to be somewhere in the mix of that, because you want to have the promotions on the governors.
I've never been in the CPL when there was an expansion. Do you guys think this is different enough where it's going to shake it up, like some players who are top become not quite top for a while, and some like players just below that level take to it faster and are able to be top players for a while?
I mean, it's possible, but I don't see that coming.
The people who are on top of the league right now, they're going to pick this up in a couple of days.
Yeah.
And they're going to be experts at it in about a week or 2. And they're just going to stay on top. You might see
other people who
fill in the niche and move up in the rank, but you're not going to see a top player now falter because he's not getting that.
So SDEath is going to make noobs' life even worse in the expansion. They're going to be even more miserable.
If SDEath puts half the time into learning the new changes on this thing, he's going to wreak havoc on people who don't pay attention to it. I am guaranteed that he's going to research this and either play by himself or just look at the stats and see what he can do to get ahead faster than what he has been doing.
He's going to be loving this because he's going to be all these fresh noobs from the expansion buzz and all of them not knowing how to play the game, and just he must be licking his chops right now.
We'll see what happens. I mean, we've had a lot of new players join the league that are very skilled players as individuals. And the bar keeps rising of where the bottom players are.
Well, they liked it.
The other side of this is that players like Estef and Harame and some of the other top players, they all follow pretty similar strategies. There's only like a couple of different metas for players who are at the top, and they've been practicing those metas for a long time now. Some of them have been doing the cav rush like every game, and like they know all the tech paths, all the units, what's going to be most efficient. A lot of that is going to change, and yeah, they'll pick up the knowledge, but getting the really fine-tuned min-maxing, like it will take, I don't think it'll happen in 2 to 3 weeks. I think it's going to take like 4 to 6, probably more likely.
So this is my chance to do like a Rocky 3 and taunt Estef as I'm like Clubber Lang. Tell him
you're welcome to try.
His girlfriend is a.
This is your time to trash talk.
Tell him his 2D girlfriend's a piece of trash, and he's got a
his 2D girlfriend. Oh my god.
Jeez, as if you're watching. Oh.
He's probably gonna say thanks.
Oh, that's not. He doesn't find that as an insult. No, he's okay with that.
No, but I really do find that think that there will be a lot of players who jump up really fast, because we're going to see I think the farther you get to the edges of skill, like the really, really bad players and the really, really good players, there's like we're going to see those people change places less. Sorry, Louis. But the people in the middle, that's going to like condense. Like we're going to see a lot more middle of the road players go up and down. People.
The emergencies should help out the noobs stay in the game longer, because people are going to team up for those emergencies to try to swing the game back and forth.
I'm holding off judgment until we actually see what some of these emergencies look like, man. And like they say, some of them are going to be like team up on first. Some of them are going to be complete PvE. Some of them are going to be like global goals. Oh, it's like, but I can see situations where they just help the first place, because the first place is already snowballed ahead enough that he gets to put the majority of work into whatever project is necessary, or he can generate the most units and kill the thing that needs to be killed.
I'm just amazed that him and the other top players don't lose more, because you would think people would just be like, F it, like I'm gonna we're gonna 5v1, but people never seem to do that.
Yes,
happens
but
a
it's
lot.
rare. It doesn't happen that often though, right?
Yes,
Otherwise he would. But he's still losing. He's winning like 90% of his, so it mustn't be happening that much.
It happens more than you think.
Yes, we get complaints all the time of like people pretty much getting teamed up on in like Diplo games and doing a full game alliance against people.
He did have 2 games in a row the other day where he didn't win, so that's kind of a major event.
There's a reason a lot of the top players want to play Always War. Like they don't like getting targeted because they're at the top of the ladder.
Yeah, Red Phoenix is. I think he just plays All War now.
Yeah, he plays only War. I tried to get a game in because I don't really like All War because I just don't really play it in general because we never really played it in TCL. So I'm always just accustomed to Diplo. But I just tried to get a game with him today, and he said I only host All War games when I'm the host.
And I think he's at the last time I looked at the rankings, he's now like number 2 in skill. He's moved right up to. He's gotten back only like a month, and he's already back number 2 in skill.
He's always been a really good player, and I'm not surprised to see him in Always War. He's always been it's always been his playground, so to speak. His Always War games, because he's really good at the decision making involved with next to no information.
He's really fast too, isn't he? Like I heard he can just do his moves super fast.
Oh yeah, he's great at that too.
Like he actually has reason to have good high mouse sensitivity, whereas the rest of us don't really care in a game like this.
Actually, you know who the current skill leader is? It's Animation.
Really?
Yeah.
Good. For
a couple days ago, it was April.
He's been playing more duels lately. I saw. So he has 2,225. Esteth is 28, 83 in third place, and Apriolo is number 2. Red Phoenix is number 4.
Speaking of duels, tomorrow I believe a few of you and then the other 2 of us are casting the CPL Challenger Series.
That's right.
Yes.
It's going to be
right.
very exciting.
Very
single
hyped
match
for that. Very
is going to
hyped.
be casted live. There's going to be a delay on the streams for obvious reasons. But other than that, I mean, we have a very exciting lineup. It's the raw foundation of this tournament idea that I've been sitting on for a long time. And all the maps are custom made. They're balanced without being full mirrors. None of the players have seen these maps. They're going to all be walking into it blind. And there's a whole lot of chaos theory, for those of you that are into that sort of thing, involved with the maps creation. So you guys have been saying it for weeks now. Scout, scout, scout.
Well, we got to give you big thanks and big props for that, because that had to take a long time to make all those maps. So that's I don't think you're getting enough recognition and thanks for that. I do agree.
Claps for him.
Well, thank you, but we'll see what the players and everyone says after the event.
So that doesn't mean that people. Yeah, that doesn't mean that people aren't going to bitch about it. That doesn't stop that.
Right. So it's not. So what do you mean by blind eye to the maps? You mean that not even like an hour or so or 30 minutes before we're not going to see the map. We're just going to be we spawn and we get weird.
This is good. Our ideal for this was to make it for the players feel like they're rolling into a standard Civ game that's RNG created, because it is. We didn't hand make the entire maps. We generated them and then we tailored them to make a more balanced experience.
Yep. Right, makes sense.
How many maps are there?
That is
11 right now, and I have another 30 that I'm sitting on.
Damn!
Wow.
And I'm gonna.
And they're all.
I'm gonna
are
take.
Are they all fractal, or some of them are for later on?
I use the fractal Lua, the generation file for it. That's the Lua file that does, and I use that to generate it to let chaos take the reins, so to speak. And I just, again, as Panda just said, I tailored the maps to a specific stratagem thought that I wanted the game to go into, whether it's a bridge too near, bridge too far, islands, whatever, what have you, Pangea. There's maps there that fit every single map type, even shuffle.
And these could go long, yeah, because I feel bad saying this to Task Force Fish, who might get fatigued, but I've had games go 2 hours on a dual map, so these could go 4 or 5. It's possible. You may have to take a break in there at some point.
The amount of time that I've allocated for each match, because they're going to be a best of 3, is about 9 hours. This way, if they happen to go long for whatever reason, for Axis crashes, lobby simulation, 2017, whatever, what have you, that the time's allocated, and players will have plenty of time to get done what they need to do. I provided all the information in the original Google document that they all got to look at, and the information was readily available, so there's no real excuse.
Yeah, I don't think it will, but I'm just saying this week I've had 2 different duels that went about more than 2 hours on a dual map, so it's possible to go 4 or 5 hours definitely on a tiny map.
I do agree. It's a matter of people take initiative or not, and how early the war goes. Because we were just starting just this early and as the Indio 1v1, but that was just on a dual map. And I don't know what it's going to be like on a tiny map. So
it's a lot bigger than you think. I don't know if you've played many tiny maps. It's way bigger than you would think. It's not that big, and it's pretty big. You're like, where am I going to run to my perk? And you're just like, it's big.
Yeah.
Yep. There are no city states on the map, so no one's going to be saying you only won because you first met. That's not going to be a thing. Barbarians are turned off. Barbs are off because I feel they're too much. There's too much random and chaos there in order to be applied to an actual tournament event.
And we're banning Scythia, Germany, Russia. Who are they? I always forget there's 5. Australia, and one other one. I always forget the one. Nubia is not one of the bands.
Nubia is not one of the bands. The maps. You will never on any of the maps spawn so close to Nubia that you are going to instantly die because she has potatoes.
Like, she'll probably have an advantage on many of the maps, but it's not going to be like Oh my! It's not going to be like the game I played against Louis, where I had 5 archers on his border by turn. What was it? 15, 16?
Yeah, it was
For
pretty.
sure.
It was pretty rapid.
So
Can we all,
go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. I was gonna say, can we talk about the drafting system, because it seems to be different than most games and most tournaments.
As far as the tournament goes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. How this is going to work is you guys are going to get with your caster, who's going to be the host, and you guys are going to draft your civs like a team draft, like a 2-player draft, like a team draft I used to see in a huge lineup of civs, right?
All right.
And you're going to be able to pick whichever one of those civs out of your draft that you want to play. And let's say, okay, game 1 happens, I play Macedon. Okay, I win game 1. In game 2, I cannot pick Macedon. So let's say I pick Aztec. I lose that game. Game 3 happens. I can't pick Macedon or Aztec out of my lineup. I have to pick something else.
How many civs do we have on a lineup?
You should have
There's
11.
11 civs?
5 bands.
So when you So when you do a suboptimal job on Indonesia, you won't have to revisit that pour again. You're done with that. Game 2, you're gonna have to do a poor
You
job
were
with
just
some other
taking
stuff.
so many jabs at Mysterious today.
Yeah,
I'm going
he
to talk
really
about
is.
next week's podcast. I'm going to go in detail of how poorly you did Indonesia.
Oh
I'm
my
gonna
Oh, really?
20 minutes of
All right.
bonus
Might
coverage
have to
just to
put you
talk
two
about
against
that.
each other just for
This
a
sounds like a
grudge
grudge match here.
Yeah.
Man, I was trash talking Louis' trash talk before the podcast, and I
No,
feel
we were
like
playing
he's-
earlier today. We just played for the first time. It's actually a close game. I'm just going over the top. We're having a
you
close
just
game.
got schooled.
It's a close game, but I
So-
think I am winning. But it's a close game.
Let's-
I
let's,
can't say that for
I
a win.
beg to differ. We'll see.
So, what civs do you guys think are going to come starting next week? Because it seems every week they're going to do a new first look. We've seen Korea. We know one of the civs, new or old, are going to have a second leader. What do you guys think about that? Who do you think's coming? Who do you think's going to get the second leader?
Honestly, I think
Mongolia.
Mongolia. Yeah, exactly. So in the announcement trailer, the next civ that came across after Korea, after like the catapult scene towards the enemy, the Korea's enemy was the Mongols, because when they were fighting. So it's probably gonna be the Mongols. That's just me.
And it's got to be Genghis. It can't be anybody other than Genghis Khan.
Kublai.
I mean, there's no other civ that's as recognizable as Genghis Khan when it comes to Mongols.
Yeah. Yes, I want Mongolia. I want Shaka Zulu. I want Attila the Hun.
Venice.
Venice is just not practical on Civ 6.
That just sounds like a city
Stalin?
state.
What about they had Stalin in Civ 4, I think, but they think could bring him back.
If they brought a second leader for Russia, I would want Catherine.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that.
And then, I'm hoping we get a couple Native American civs, like maybe the Shoshone, maybe the Inca, and who else was I thinking of? Maybe the Apache,
Mayans.
Mayans, yes.
But there are a lot of oldies from Civ 2 and 3 that just never return. I'd like to see them come back. Because Zulu
I'd
used
also
to
like-
have a really good scout at the beginning of the game. I'd like to see that.
That was the Shoshone.
Was it?
The Shoshone had the Pathfinder, which was basically a warrior strength scout.
So how many civs will there be then when you add these 9 to the current number? How many is that going to make for the
9
total civ?
plus 27 is 36.
30. Is that more? Now, is that more than Civ 5 or 4? I don't nearly
Not
know what the
yet.
totals were.
No.
No.
Civ 5 started with 18 civs. We started with 20. I don't remember how many they had for the DLCs, but I think it's around 50 after the 2 DLCs. After the 2 expansions.
Okay.
So that's enough for some mid-tier player to just like play the one that nobody wants over and over again and be like the master of that civ.
So you guys keep mentioning new players, middle ground player, and this really ties into a topic that I know Mysterious X has been wanting to talk about for a while. Hold on.
She's in the kitchen and she's gonna get into the bread.
You're gonna get to the bread? Okay. I will be
She's actually
Okay.
on the cabinet.
I don't see how that's physically possible, but okay. So, anyways, as I step away here to find out how my daughter is defying physics, what you've always wanted to be talking about new players, how transition from single player to multiplayer, the real casual players that come into CivPlayers League. We've had tons of them coming in lately. You know, what did you really want to touch on? Reaching out to those people.
I really wanted to reach out on how we can be relatable and actually be like more accepting in a way, because I know when I first came in, and I know a lot of other players that come from single player that first join a league they jump into staging, you know, they register, they're like, let's have some fun, you know, and
boy, what a foolish thought that was.
Yeah, exactly.
Those fools,
so, and then they get crushed to the first 9-10 games from horse rush that they never, all these strategies that they've never even heard of or even thought about. So they really have to persevere through your first learning experiences as a game, and if you don't take your first losses as a learning experiences, it's just gonna hurt their self-esteem and eventually just leave because they don't like getting crushed all the time. So
if we have enough new players, maybe we can get the people to actually go into the under 1700 skill room.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. So maybe because I haven't seen at least once anyone go into the staging of 1700 and under.
I can think of one specific case where it did happen. It's when SDF joined a lobby full of new people.
God damn it. SDF.
Yeah.
See, that's a prime example, because, I mean, sure, we all want to get a better rank, and you still all want to share experiences with other people, but just specifically going into a lobby with new people to crush on them to raise your rank, in my opinion, is kind of mean.
But he lives on the blood of noobs. That's how he survives.
That's honestly, I find that highly immoral, but that's how he plays. And
but if that's how you have to live, like a vampire, you know, you feel bad about it at first, but after a while, if you've got to take blood, you've got to take blood. What are you going to do?
I guess. I mean, he can take blood from his 2D girlfriend, but, you know, he takes it from the noobs, and that's just one prime example. I mean, there's plenty of other people who do it, but some people don't even know that they're doing it, but some people just come in, like, they even say during staging, like, this is my first game, how do I delete files, how do I join the game, how do I join the chat room, stuff like that. There's not much connection between.
Put that in the welcome, like, welcome to CPL, beware of S-Death.
Yeah, stuff like that. So
do not feed the trolls.
You know, yeah.
So let's get away from S-Death, because he isn't the sole issue, and it's.
Yeah, that's true.
And just mentioning him over and over is certainly not going to help.
It's my bad. This has been an issue for me because I have issues. So it's been an issue for me. So I'll take the blame for that.
You do have issues, Lewis.
Okay, so Louis, go sit in the corner with a cookie for a while.
But in general, I feel like there is a disconnect between higher rated players and new players coming into the community, trying to learn and persevere through the community. There's a disconnect, I feel like.
I agree with that sentiment, but the question is how to go about approaching it without giving it a negative connotation. Like, we've been bouncing this idea around for months, and there's like maybe 17 and under makes the players feel that they're just being called bad players or noobs, and that hurts their feelings, or we don't want them to feel that way. But
is that really happening? Do you really think that many people are playing multiplayer for the first? I think most of them have probably played some pub games, so they should be used to some harshness. They're not just coming straight from a single
surprised,
player.
Man. Like, sometimes I'll check someone's profile and they'll have like 200 hours. Sometimes it'll be like 5 hours when they come in.
Yeah, even then, pub games are way different than CPL games. So even then, there's still a disconnect. Even if it's your first time playing CPL and not your first time playing multiplayer itself, there's still really a disconnect. But
maybe this is a role for you. You can become the White Knight and just not even care about your own wins. Just defend the noobs in the game. Maybe that's what you're meant to do.
Of course.
Just take yourself down, but make sure that noob comes in third instead of 8th.
So we've identified the issue. What would you propose to do about it?
Well, there's not much we can do as of introduction wise, because I know when people come in, there's still There's still people that don't really read the introduction. They just welcome, they register, and then because that's what they want to do. They don't want to spend an hour reading the introduction. Well, it is important. People, some people just don't really care. So I don't think doing anything in introduction-wise will do much, but we can finding or at least promoting more of the 1700 and under idea and staging might be better than just doing something for introduction.
I don't think there's really, I thought about this too. I don't think there's anything to do. It's just kind of like, once again, another example of me not having kids and giving a kid's example. But you take your kids to first grade, you just got to see what happens. Maybe they're going to get the crap beaten out of them. There's nothing you can do.
That's true.
The sandbox.
Yeah, there's nothing.
That is true.
This is coming from somebody that doesn't have kids, of course. Once again, let me point that out.
Oh yeah, let's get the opinionated daddy look at it.
Yeah, let's hear Sarnath, the person that actually has kids. They see what he thinks about noobs.
He's probably actually dealing with his children right now.
Oh, that's probably it.
But I mean, it's one of those things that now that we've terrified every small child and first child parent out there thinking their kid's going to get sandboxed the first day of school.
Right.
People need to understand that this is an online community.
That's
online communities, the kid gloves come off. It doesn't matter what you're playing. Civ, StarCraft, Diablo, League. I mean, let's not even touch League's toxicity. I mean, I mean, I think I'd rather drink a cup of water from the Black Sea than deal with the salted League's chat.
In my opinion, Overwatch is worse. They have
I
voice
agree.
chat.
Agree there.
Man, yeah.
But coming away from toxicity, because I don't think CPL is really toxic, except some cases where people rant and they usually get rather suspended or banned for it. But
they get taken care of by us admins, so
exactly,
that's not really a problem.
It's not a problem whatsoever, which is very fortunate.
I was in a game where people actually quit because they didn't like it that the guy was taking the turn timer too long for, like, he said he was going to be away for, like, take long turn timers for maybe like 4 or 5 turns, and they quit. They scrapped the game because that's a new one I hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
Some people are just impatient.
Yeah.
I get patient with that only when they're deliberately wasting time just to last move.
No, he was cool about it. He was like his mistake was that he was being cool and told people he was going to be slow for a few turns, and then used that against him by scrapping the game.
I mean, yeah. I mean, sure. If you don't want the turn timer to be lengthened because you're limited on time for only like 5 hours, sure, I get that. But you don't want to scrap a game because of it. If it's only 4 or 5 turns, you can deal with that.
Yeah, because it was. I mean, they're going to take more time starting a new game up than whatever time was wasted, and it really didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But you know what? That was the one time actually, like everybody knows, I hardly ever say anything harsh. I was actually, complaining in the chat room. I was proud of myself. My chat actually got scrubbed, even though it really wasn't toxic. I was just complaining.
Huh.
But
let's back this up a second.
My chat
I
got
hardly
scrubbed.
ever talk. But you've been trash talking like this entire time.
No, but in the text lobby, I don't say anything. I don't confront players or anything. But for me, I'm just saying I wasn't harsh. I was just saying like, hey, Dad, this isn't fair. Why are you? And I called the moderator. I was like, how you can't scrap a game for this? But the moderator said, and apparently I've talked to people about that. We don't know if it's against the rules to do that. I think it's an open question.
I mean, it really comes down
to. I thought it had to be technical issues to scrap a game that early, but people, I talked to a bunch of moderators, and they didn't know if it was illegal.
Leave the puppy alone.
Maybe that's something that needs to be discussed. If not with the player panel, then with the admin team, because
everybody's defining. Is that a new policy now? We scrubbed. I don't think it's a bad rule. Is that we scrub the chat if the people are complaining in the text lobby? Like
I would need to hear more details about the specific situation. Which I don't think we need to go into those details right now on the podcast. Yes, but like we can definitely talk about it and see if there was a gap in understanding or actual gap in the rules. Because if there is one, we definitely want to know about it and we want to plug that hole.
So let's roll this along since we've agreed that this is the place. But we have this expansion coming, and there are a lot of bugs still in the gaming year down the road. We touched on this briefly last week, but now that you guys had a week to really think on it, what new things are you hoping to see added to the game, like features and stuff, not just, and what bugs are you hoping to see fixed? Like, what are your big hopes for those two regards?
Well,
the
big
start bug
So good. You got
that
sorry, my
they
bad.
failed to fix in the hot fix.
Oh, the position issue, the spawns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they don't fix any of the spawning issues, especially the snow starts, the distance starts have been better. CS clumping is not technically a bug, I guess you could say, but I would call it unintended behavior, which to me sounds like a bug as a developer. And CS clumping is a seriously big problem right now. We consistently get 1 or 2 players spawning on half of the map with CS, and they just get to roll over however many we voted to let them roll over, and then they get the sim and they get all the first meets. I've lost so many teamers recently because one person on the other team gets like 7 out of the 9 first meets, and then one person on the team gets the 8th first meet, and it's just like, well, not much I can do when my immediate opponent at spawn min distance away from me has +2 production in their cap to units, +4 science, +4 culture, and +8 money from turn 15.
Yeah, that's just obscene and should never happen. And it's just one of the many issues that hopefully will get resolved. I mean, honestly, the big feature for me that I'm wanting to see is an observer mode for games. Because right now we're relying on a mod, the spectator mod that Fruit Strike designed. And he stepped away from modding Civ 6. He handed everything over to Hellblazer. Hellblazer's walked away from Civ 6. So now it's pretty much a dead project. And without this mod, we can't really observe the cast and commentate games. And that kind of kills hyping up tournament events on streams and playing stuff live and doing recordings. Because you can't see what's going on. How can you comment?
Right.
I mean, you can still, because it doesn't work. It's okay for duels, but when you get more players, it just starts crashing. That
it's an incomplete project anyway. It was designed for team play where a team would forfeit in the end. As soon as a player dies, it gets really, really buggy and out of control. It tries to give the spectator mod to another player. And then you have issues where, like in a free-for-all, I was doing that request once. You had a player lose all of his units.
Wow.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious yet not funny at all in the moment.
Like, they're in the middle of a war and his units just poof gone.
So now the only thing you could do is just comment on the person's Twitch feed, which doesn't let you only see it from that person's point of view. So that's not really that great.
Yeah, it doesn't.
We need a spectator mod for this if we want to continue hosting tournaments.
I mean, with that in mind, since we've come to this, I was going to mention it towards the end of the podcast. But if you're a skilled modder out there and you have a pretty good idea of what you're doing, we need someone to step forward in the community to make this mod or work on its current rendition, however you want to look at it. Probably be easier for you to make it from scratch, to be honest. But if you could make this spectator mod and make it actually work when players are dying, however you got to get it done, I personally would really appreciate it. I love casting games for Civ 6. People tend to really enjoy it. I always have a really good turnout for it, and I'm a small town. So, this is something that could get a lot of use in the community, both for single and multiplayer, because you could have someone spawn in with a friend observing and, just giving helpful advice overall on a one-on against the AI situation. Sure, you could watch their feed on Steam, but watching with the Steam client is like trying to watch, on a TV from the 50s.
They put it up there for you to push onto the floor.
I agree. Without
I'd
a
also
spectator
like to
mod,
see,
you can't really find much.
I'd like to see that NQ, that mod that people like, but apparently it doesn't work with I like it, just more friendly towards mods so they could play it, because that really makes it a lot better. You get to see, you don't have to click on the score screen 500 times in the game, because it gives you a lot of the stuff on the main screen. That's really a very useful mod.
Speaking of scores, on team games, your score has been completely broken since Nubia. By broken, I mean if you're in a team game, your stats for your science per turn, your military strength, everything, it does not update. So you're playing the whole game blind. Like, hey, how much does the other team science have? Like, the only thing that ever works is your score. Your
I agree.
total score. And
I mean,
I've gotten used to it to where it's nice having that mystery, but it's a pain in the ass at the same time. Like, fix the score. Like, they've had 2 updates since this got broken. Hasn't been touched.
Also, I'd like to see them fix for somebody that loves religion. That it really doesn't pay off at all to do religion if it's gonna be decided by score. You get really screwed. You don't get crap for doing religion.
You should get points to your score per converted city to your religion.
I completely agree with that.
But all you get is 5 points for every civ that you've converted, I think, right?
No,
or maybe you don't even get that.
You get points for a
6 points.
pantheon, and then you get points for a religion. That's it.
Let me guess. She's back.
Yeah, you get 2 points for your pantheon, 2 points for founding your religion, and then you get more points on top as you evangelize. So you evangelize twice, you are now locked in, I think, 6 or 8 points, and that's it. And you can convert 100 cities in religion. You're only gonna get 8 points and score.
Also, I think we'd all agree it should be a lot easier to win cultural. It's like super hard to do it. And it's ever been done. I saw it done in a game where the 2 top players agreed to let the other guy do it, basically. But I've never seen anybody win a culture in a regular game.
I've seen like players like Filthy done some, but that's about it.
Because as you get more culture, it starts to as soon as you start getting
gotten
the other players
has gotten one.
It just takes so long, and you have to.
Because as you go up, as soon as the other players get more like tourism, you have to get even more culture, and so they can just pretty much stop you without having to even generate that much culture.
Tourism's a very involved thing. It's more than just culture. It's based off of also your Eureka bonuses that you get. So if you're going to go for a culture victory, you need to land your Eurekas. Like as many as you can.
Yeah, you got to build those parks, national parks, and you have to get the seaside resorts and all this other.
I mean, there's actually a Reddit post where a guy's wife has done every single civ on deity and gotten a culture victory. And I don't mean like 1-on-1, I mean like 1-on-8.
Jeez. That's intense.
Like if you go and you Google like Civ 6 culture victory on deity, you'll find it.
Well, one thing to bring up is that it will be a little easier probably in this new game because now you're going to have like culture flipping of cities, right? So now if you get a big culture, you should be able to flip cities. That'll help you a lot.
Culture.
It's not culture based. No, it's loyalty based.
Oh, so culture doesn't affect it at all?
No, it's loyalty. It's a whole new mechanic being added into the game where when you flip a city on past renditions, when you culture flipped a city, it would go from the enemy city immediately to your city. But now there's a middle ground of the city now declared independence. So it's essentially a city-state without the city-state bonuses. It does not have like the +2 for envoys. You can't put envoys in it, and it doesn't have any like the suzerain bonuses.
What flips it?
It does maintain a military though.
It does maintain military, yes.
Does happiness flips it? What determines whether it flips?
Happiness. If
Loyalty.
You don't have enough amenities, like anything, it specifically
those contribute to your loyalty, but loyalty is an entirely new mechanic. It's an entirely new number in the game.
I mean, I'm sure loyalty, like the actual specifics of it, will come out when the actual expansion comes out, so we can talk about more about that when it actually comes out.
Probably like religion will help affect it. I would think if you have the same religion, you should be more
loyal.
They're
add some religious choices, maybe a pantheon choice that'll impact loyalty. Maybe not a pantheon, but they're almost guaranteed to be some religious choice impact.
I'm guessing that they will add little bits and pieces to pretty much every mechanic, science, culture, production, so on, that benefit loyalty in some way. You benefit loyalty in response to like, get plus 50% loyalty while you have this card if for each campus you have, type thing.
Yeah.
All right.
And you think it'll have some effect on the infinite city sprawl? Maybe like if the new cities will have less loyalty. So
Oh, this whole thing expansion is pointing towards like trying to make the building tall viable again. I had a game the other day where I got with 4 cities, I got second, and it was like we could have gone on, and I believe I had a chance, but I just didn't feel like playing till modern era.
Yeah, that's great because that's what I loved about Civ 4 was the tall cities. You get these cities, you just pile as many like new, great people as you want into them, make a super science city. That I definitely
like the trailer says it. If you build too wide, your loyalty on the fringes is going to be susceptible to your opponents. Now, how big of an impact it has, because that does mean that someone else has to make enough loyalty creation to like flip your cities. So we'll see just how powerful that is. But I don't think we're going to see a lot of those power builds, so to speak, come out right off the bat. I think we're initially going to see people look at loyalty and a couple of the other new mechanics that we might see as weak, not like kind of like we see culture or religion now. And like, but I think they're going to put so much into this expansion geared towards making those things stronger that once people actually start learning it, we'll see a bit more variety to the meta.
Because right now if you have enough space, the meta is always just keep building cities. If nobody's pressuring you, there's no reason to not keep building them.
Amenities at a certain point, but that's really only happens if you get past a certain point of number of cities by conquering. And if you're just settling, like it's hard to outsettle your amenities.
Yep.
And you have to keep your cities more happy now, right? Because it's going to be a bigger penalty than just barbarians appearing when you're at like -8 amenities. It's actually you're going to lose the power of the city.
Yeah, it's possible. It depends. But I can't imagine what it'd be like to get barbs and then lose the city to disloyalty, and then you have a barbarian army fighting a neutral city army on your borders.
It doesn't matter. I heard Harambe said he doesn't care about the amenities. Like he said, it doesn't discourage him from popping out new cities. He said he doesn't even worry about.
No. That's why I mentioned conquering cities. If you conquer too many cities and like you stay at war too long while your amenities are negative, it's going to get to barb states.
Yep. You can see it even in single-player games, where you'll be going to war with the AI, you'll be crashing and bashing through, and as you're rolling through, all of a sudden, in the city you took 2 turns ago, hey, look, there's 4 cav rebels. People
I was practicing my Hansa placements the other day, and I was warring. I started warring 3 civs at a time because I knew I could handle it. But like I get halfway through all of them, and all of a sudden barbarians start popping up in the cities that I should have just taken, and it's like, Yep. Yeah. This is a part of the game that I haven't tried too much in. Multiple Civ conquering at the same time.
So do you guys think this is, I was talking about this, do you think this is a more major expansion than like, I didn't play much Civ 5, but this seems like a more major change than the first expansion for Civ 4. That didn't seem to have like a giant
I think they're going for the big mechanical change first, and then the next expansion will be high content and volume. Which I think is smart. Like, get your design things out of the way first. Let a couple DLCs smooth out the bumps, and then let the rest of the expansions and DLC just be like fresh content that fits more smoothly to the.
Because usually the expansions just add like a unit or two and maybe one. It doesn't like a major change in this. So I think that's really cool.
Expansions are huge.
Like
huge.
Civ 5, they cost money.
Yeah, Civ 5 expansion went and added religion to the game. Completely, totally different new mechanic. Just how like loyalty and governors are being added here. It's completely new, and it's going to be a big change in terms of the game on its head, for sure.
So something I'm really hoping they announce is World Congress.
Yeah,
I want mechanical diplomacy. I love Diplo. I love PMs, and I love Diplo Plus more when it's all vocal. Well, but I want some mechanical attribution to not only reward my diplomatic skills, but give me specific game goals that will benefit from them.
Yeah,
Do
because
you
like
mean
in
like
Civ,
having a like how Masters of Orion has the Galactic Congress where you can
Oh, I'm
vote
talking about
with
World
the leader?
Congress from Civ 5, where you voted on different like international laws. So it'd be like a
That'd be
tariff
interesting.
on a certain set of luxes
Yeah.
and then there's like kind of like we were going to have emergencies. I suspect those are going to be similar to the Civ 5 events where it's like it's the Olympics. Everyone go build as much of this project as you can. Trying to get a global like
Right.
5,000
Yeah.
production. First, second, and third contributors get this stuff.
yeah,
are
in
you
Civ
sa-
4, there was a wonder you could do that would basically put a vote and you could stop a war. A guy was warring you, and this wonder let you put a vote up. And if the majority said the war's over, the war, you were at peace. It forced it. That was really cool.
Yeah, I
That is
expect
cool.
a lot of things like that to happen.
So really, I guess it's what you're saying is that it's a way that the like second to eighth, for example, if it was an 8-man FFA, that you can really use your majority vote in a World Congress to hinder the first
And it was
place.
a victory. You could win
Yeah.
a diplomatic victory in Civ 4. It was is one of the victory conditions.
I
Yeah.
would absolutely love to
See,
see
in
this
Civ
come into
5
fruition and actually be like, you could vote to put like trade embargoes against the player in first place.
I
Right.
also love the idea of us of having like it just so happens that there's a mechanic that lets you vote to CC in the game. I
See,
could
in
actually
Civ
like
5, I hated the fucking World Congress because it basically was a cheese fest. Whoever could throw the most gold at the city-states, controlled city-states, it was just arbitrary. It's like, oh, I'm going to vote myself to win 47 times because there's 47 city-states, and that's how many
envoys
envoys
are
I
different,
have.
man. You don't get to seize more than like
I know,
CS.
but that was because of the World Congress. That's what I'm talking about, not envoys. Because on Civ 5, the way you got influence in the World Congress was controlling city-states.
and gold.
And you just threw gold at city-states to get control over every single city-state. And you're like, hey, I'm going to ban crabs because fuck crabs.
I don't feel like that's
Crabs.
as big of a problem in Civ 6 though, because right now you're incredibly encouraged to put all your envoys in one, maybe two if you're Greece city-states. And this would encourage you to have suzerain on a bunch of city-states. It's very rare that I see and actually like keep more than 3 or 4 suzerains throughout a game. And even Pericles, who's all about that.
Yeah, like, it would be different on here, but the whole thing why I say it's cheese is the way you earned gold and just threw it at city-states. If they incorporate it to the envoy system that we have now, and if you have suzerain of a city-state, then yeah, you'll have like one vote in World Congress, so that could be viable. But they've already said World Congress is not getting added in this extension. That the emergency system is going to act like mini World Congresses.
Huh.
So
I think it would be cool if there was some like a building you could build that would just help you generate like tons of envoys, and you could use it like as a weapon.
It's called Apadana.
Yeah, but that's just one
Yeah.
wonder though.
actually,
And
I'm
Acropolis,
glad you
like
mentioned that. They just announced a new wonder today. It's Kill Me something, some African name. I don't remember the exact name of it, but it improved those yields that you get from your city-states now.
That's a really big
oh yeah, I
deal.
heard about that.
Ooh, that sounds really good.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, it improves the bonuses you get on the per envoy. I remember that.
Dude,
Improve
Geneva
itself.
plus 12, like 8 or 10 science from having the
Oh.
6 in each, and then you get the 15%. Oh,
Yeah,
You
good
get
luck
that
with
if you
that.
do the religion, you can get that 50% bonus on all the things if you have that
You're
religion.
talking about religion so much.
Man,
But
you
that's
know,
a good thing though. Instead of getting +4, you get +6 if you have if you get that 50% card for having the religion of the city-state.
well, I'm telling you right now, if there's Geneva in a game and you're the suzerain of it, if at least one person hasn't declared war on you, then it's their fault. Okay, they've done that to themselves.
that happens like every time I get Geneva, though.
I find
Really,
that I
it's
see
never
someone's
happened to
a
me.
suzerain, I declare.
It never,
Or
it never
Yerevan. If you
happened.
let somebody get Yerevan to the city-state, then that's your fault. Like you shouldn't allow, and because they're gonna, as Blade knows, they're gonna OP
You're
that
the
thing.
only one who cares about Yerevan in a normal game.
No, I care about Yerevan because
Yerevan's the
Yerevan
best
is
of the holy city states. If you're
yeah.
not doing
It doesn't.
It is,
you can
yes.
choose the apostle promotion, correct?
Yeah, so you get those
Yeah.
75% just flipping states like one
Proselytizer.
shot.
Proselytizer. It's so good. Or debater or no, not debater. Orator.
Debater, yes. That's the one that gives you plus 20 strength.
Yeah.
That
And-
makes you fight like
a god.
yeah.
You are a god amongst sheep.
Amongst sheep.
So you can take that plus
You are
20 to
you are
a warrior monk.
Cossacks with Defender of the Faith on homeland against someone's pikeman. Okay, that's what that promotion does.
What does?
Debater.
Plus 20 to any military unit? Is that what it does?
No.
No,
Plus
that's
20
apostle.
to apostles.
Religious combat.
And-
It's religious theological combat, and it's absolutely phenomenal. If
It is.
you do theological combat.
I mean, it's useless if you don't. You might as well just get translator or debate or orator or proselytizer if you're not gonna fight anyone. But yeah,
But basically, if
really
you
very
have
freaking fun.
Yerevan, you get like 4 or 5 apostles that are plus 20s, and then you buy a whole bunch of missionaries and other ones that are like triple strength. You use your plus 20 debaters to kill off apostles, and then use the other guys to spread.
yeah.
I still don't know how the gurus work. Is it auto
Gurus
heal? I don't
heal.
even know how.
Nah, you
It's a
speed like
charge.
it charges. Yeah.
So
It should be
basically, you light up 3 or 4 of your apostles that are all wounded. Like they all huddle around your little guru, and then you hit your. It's like a builder charge in a sense, and you hit that, and any adjacent around it heals.
Oh, okay, that's
I wish it was like medic status, where it was just like automatic and healing
Oh,
for
dude.
turn.
I
there's
can't wait
that
for
new
those
unit,
supply
right? Isn't there a
convoys.
new late?
Oh yeah.
Isn't there a new yet late unit that's a supply unit that is like a
Yeah,
super
it's a
medic?
supply convoy.
Like-
It's a promotion for the medic.
And what
And
that
it's
does,
a lot better than the medic.
Yes,
Oh,
it is a medic that's going to heal your unit, but it also acts like a general and gives you plus 1 movement.
Sorry, what does?
The supply
Whoa.
convoy.
Supply convoy.
The medic from the new medic upgrade that's just like super late in the game. What
Oh, we'll do.
It heals automatically like the medic, and it
Uh-huh.
gives the units plus 1 movement.
So you mean I'm going to be able to legally general stack in the modern era?
It's
You know-
only on the one unit it's linked to. It's not.
Oh. Okay.
So funny story, right? Because I heard the general stacking thing came up, and someone's like, well, but in Macedon scenario, it was fixed, but they didn't bother to fix it in the normal game. So is it still a bug? I think it was you played that mentioned this. So I shot off an email to support, and I kind of got a shrugs I don't know as an answer, but I'm not too sure how I feel about that because general stacking may actually be a legitimate intended thing in the game now.
And I guess, but I mean, the classical. It's so easy to get classical generals. It's just building the project.
So we don't know. It's up because before you were saying that they admitted that it's a
They
bug,
did,
and now you're saying
but that
maybe
was
it's not a bug.
before.
That's
That
right.
was before Macedon was released. When they released Macedon, in the scenario that you have that you play as Macedon,
So they fixed it.
it
Okay.
does. The generals don't stack, but they
So they
do
can
in
fix
the
it. They're
game.
choosing not to. Okay, I understand. They're choosing not to fix
Choosing
it. They
not
know
to
how to
fix
do it.
Exactly, and because of that, it's kind of up in the air now. So, I mean, I'm personally against it because I think it's very unhealthy gameplay.
I agree.
But I mean,
Is general stacking really that crazy when you have generals restricted to borders? Because like when you get to later eras, you're usually not going to be able to get more than one general.
Because they cost too much.
Yeah,
Yeah, it costs so much. Yeah.
It's real. So it's really only classical, and most games I play in, like I played one free roaming general game in the last like 6 months, maybe 4 months, and it just devolved so quickly because of the generals. No one got multiple generals, but I don't think anyone could have either because everyone just went straight for it.
I'd like to see somebody play a game with no general stacking ban. You just have like a super horde, right? That just roams
Okay,
around and
so
destroys anything in its
if you
path.
want to see that, Team Liquid ran a tournament event, and it was run by Mr. Game Theory. yes, I'm actually calling it a tournament event. As much of a joke that is in and of itself. And he allowed general stacking, and every game ended before the medieval era.
It was a classical rush, and you'd get like
whoever got two generals won the game.
Oh no, whoever got 3 generals.
Oh no, because at least one team got 1 general. We
were able to get 3 in most of our games.
But that's the problem. Like, you encourage that kind of gameplay. You're telling these people, okay, well, you either get the generals and you win the game, or you don't get the generals and you lose the game. There's no.
What if you played a game where you could only stack the generals in the medieval or later era? Would that be as broken?
That's even worse, because then you would have 6 generals potentially.
But you wouldn't get 6. Nobody should let you get all 6.
And nobody should let Germany sim for free in a free-for-all, yet that happens.
But you're never. I like the idea that you're not safe. But all of a sudden, like a knight's going to travel 8 squares and just hit you out of nowhere. I think that's pretty awesome, though.
See, the funny thing about that, though, is the generals will lag behind if you have that much movement.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's true. But that's really far from the point. The shock and awe value alone is enough.
It's like nobody in sight, and all of a sudden you get a horde just swarming in by 8 tiles. Like, hello, surprise!
It's like tank, beep beep, going in.
And then next turn they all have +10.
Exactly.
Okay. So, this expansion, there's a lot of hype for it already. A lot of people are excited to see what's coming, what might come, what may come, whatever, what have you. You have a lot of new players coming into not only CPL, but the Civ as well, thinking, oh, maybe the expansion will fix whatever made me not want to play this originally. And if for those people that are skeptical or unsure about picking up the game or joining a multiplayer or grueling through their way up to deity on single player, because some people still struggle with Prince, it's true. Blade. And and are you looking
say
for new
that,
challenges?
And yet I'm playing like a 28 Civ game on deity right now.
Whatever.
I have 1,300 signed.
Yeah, he's got a mod for it. And
no, I mean there's 27 civs in the game.
He has duplicate leaders.
No. Well, duplicate leaders as in there's my civ on there.
But anyway, for those of you that are single player focused, what new challenges are you looking for? I know a couple of us do some single player stuff from time to time. I do the A to Z to A challenge with Tom. I do some stuff with Blade. I'll play some mods every now and then for fun and check it all out. And, what are you guys looking for new challenges, whether it's new achievements, new fun interactions? What do you guys think? What are you looking for?
Well, there's definitely going to be new achievements.
Yeah.
Probably a dozen or so related. Oh, actually, no, more than that. Because each civ is going to have probably three or 4 achievements, and then different ones for government. So there's probably going to be, 50?
Yeah, there's
achievements.
Each civ in the game already has one, like you win a game as Gorgo or whatever, is like the first Sparta achievement, for example. Everyone has a victory condition, this achievement, so at least 9 already there. So there's going to be around a lot of achievements coming in.
I think it could have a purpose, especially for people that like duels. I'm starting to think maybe I'll play more AI just as a practice, play a duel against the AI so I can practice my starts. I think it has a value for that.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it has value for the first 20 to 30 turns of the game. As soon as you start actually engaging AI with more than one-on-one or 2-on-2 units, it becomes completely unrealistic and unhelpful in my opinion. And I play probably 2 or 3, maybe even 4 deity games a week just to practice individual civ starts. It's funny how much quickly I realized that a lot of civs have the exact same early game.
Scout.
I always try to encourage, but people never want to do it. Do you think if you had pinned starts where you knew the AI would be in a certain place, you think you could see people play games with AIs mixed in as long as they knew they were placed equally around everybody?
No.
Hell no. The AIs are just too exploitive.
But what if everybody was, if it was in the same, you had one near you, you had one, and it wasn't you didn't get 2 near one. It was always equal. Each person had a.
It's handing them a free civ to conquer.
Yep.
It's like city states, but worse because now they can spawn like 3, 4, 5 cities.
Yeah, because the AI is just too bad at war.
Yeah, I agree.
I had something. I don't know if this happens a lot but I had a thing where I was playing a duel and like I was trying to protect the city state. Like I was trying to prevent it from dying. I don't know how often that happens in multiplayer in free for alls. I don't know.
Everyone's trying to stop the other person from taking the city state they want.
And then you get times where like you see Sue's something across the map and then have it killed. I had a game where Mercy killed my commercial CS like on the other side of my continent, and so I dedicated the rest of the game to killing him. And he died 40 turns later. But like I told him like, hey, if you kill that CS, like there's no going back from that.
Yeah.
You're gonna die.
Oh, it's sad because he was taking me and Rob on at the same time.
Oh wow.
Oh man. But,
so, as a little bit of a recap then, since things are starting to wind down, we're just gonna go person by person, chair to chair, so to speak. What do you think about Korea? Everyone thinks it's going to be really, really strong, but what are you specifically looking forward to when you sit down and play that sim? And we will start with Blade.
Okay, well, Korea, they have great science. You can plop down their campus. It's going to be nice +6. If you have like 3 or 4 hills next to it, each one of those hills gets a little +1 science. So you're going to be looking at probably 10 science from that campus. Other than that, like, they're going to be great for the science push, no doubt. But other than that, the UU is crap. It's a 30 melee and a 50 range, I believe. But the thing can't move and shoot at the same time like a cannon can. And they said it's going to be a medieval a Renaissance era unit. So if that comes at the tech of say like muskets, 2 turns later or 2 techs later, you're going to have field cannons, and so it's not even going to be viable. And on top of that, it's not a replacement unit, so you're going to have to hard build the thing, which is going to cost more production and not be able to upgrade into it. So honestly, I think it's going to be a waste of time. The only way to make this unit viable is if it comes super early at, say, like the Niter Tech. I don't remember the name of it, but it'd have to be coming in somewhere in the medieval era. Otherwise, I'm just probably going to skip it, just like I do the Crouching Tiger. And then, like I've already said, with their +5% bonuses for the governor, that's also crap. So basically, their hard science is the only thing they have. So it's going to be strong, but it's not going to be good in any other aspect besides just pure science.
So Blade is not looking forward to Korea. How about you, Mysterious?
Well, I'm really looking forward to see if the +6 applies to adjacency, because if it does, it's going to be huge. But if it doesn't, it'll be okay. And how Blade pointed out is how their unique unit is shit, and their leader bonus is pretty shit. So it's just pure, exactly what Blade said. I just commend that, is that it's just the pure science of Korea is going to be huge, early game, mid game, and late game. So especially if the adjacency counts to the +6, but you're gonna have to survive, and you don't have a unique unit to protect yourself. Well, you do, but it's not the greatest because it comes in Renaissance, and you're gonna have Cav soon at that point, and Cav will just run through the Hwatches because they have 30 melee strength, right?
30.
30, yeah. So Cav literally they one shot the Hwatches. So because 30, 60 is 30 with one shot, so it's not all that great. So it's just, again, what Blade said, it's the pure science is you're gonna make it all, or you're gonna make it none.
Louis?
I think it's great because it makes it more. It seems like Civ 6 is less. I loved in Civ 4 how you really was a strategy. You could like try to super out tech somebody. And it doesn't seem like that's really much of a meta in this game. So it brings that in. Like if you can survive and you're good at defending, you could really just super out tech somebody and bring in 2 levels of units better than somebody and just really stomp on somebody. If you can, I think that's really cool. Because it doesn't seem like that's a meta much in this game right now.
It's funny because I see that as the only meta in this game.
Yeah,
really
I agree.
is.
I mean, Louis has his own metas in his head, and I'm with religion, so
yeah, they're OP in his head. So I am really excited for Korea. They were my favorite Civ 5 Civ, even though they weren't amazing. But I think that I am like super not positive, obviously, but I'm gonna hedge all my bets that they're gonna get a hill bias. Yes, and I want another hill bias Civ, and having a hill bias just by itself, even if it's like a mid-tier one, not one of the high-tier ones like Greece, like, oh yeah, that'll make your starts way better. And not being mountain dependent for science and having that early adjacent, like I think science and production are the most valuable yields in the first 40, 50 turns of the game. And that's what they do is science and production. I can worry about
do you build at what turn do you build a campus now when you play 10-2?
I used to start them around 2030. And lately I haven't. I don't think I've built a campus before turn 35, 40 in months.
So with Korea, how fast would you do it?
That's the tricky part.
It's going to be worth dropping at least one in your capital.
Yep. I think you're going to see a lot of them go crossbows. I think that's going to be a super powerful path for them because you're going to have high science, high production, and Goge is a really early card, and that's a pretty quick path if you have high science because all the boosts are pretty easy to get, and that's right on the way to swords. So, and a lot of people, and you're going to need to get mining anyways. So, you go mining, bronze working, and then all straight to crossbows. I mean, that's if you don't have horses, that's your general best bet to get to a medieval unit anyways. Is with them, they're just going to do it faster.
Yep, they're going to have crossbows super early for sure.
And while the rest of their abilities are not that powerful, I think there's a lot of information we don't know yet about changes to the game that could potentially make those things seem a whole lot more attractive. So I'm going to reserve some of my judgment on those things. We also don't know how the yield curves throughout the game are going to be affected by all these new civs, all these new religion, pantheons, policy cards, whatever. Golden Ages, Heroic Ages. Oh my God, there's so many new things. And when all that hits, I saw I haven't stared at the video for hours. I feel like some of you guys might have, but I'm pretty sure I saw 195 science. I guess no, they were at a turn 100, so it's not that crazy at that point. But I would have still expected to see a lower number on a demo video.
What if you get 2 science city states and combine that in there?
Yeah, exactly.
Win the game.
We're also playing on standard speed, by the way.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so the numbers I can't really look at those numbers and say. But still, I can't wait to have plus 12 science adjacency on turn 45 when I get to recorded history, and then have Cav and Merchant Republic by turn 60. I imagine they're going to be they're going to want to sim, for obvious reasons, but I think they'll also be just fine warring, and they'll actually be able to peel out of an early war a lot easier than most civs because they have those science adjacencies. It's going to be oh, I'm not warring early? Okay, so I build my campuses, and then I build my mines around, or I plant my campuses, and then I build some mines around them and finish the mines. Oh, I'm warring early? Okay, I'm already building mines for the production to build units. Hey, look, I can plant a campus here and get all of a sudden another 10 science. Holy shit.
So you think they could be the strongest civ then if it comes out the way you think?
No, there's the production and a few other things put other civs on top. But I can put them in my top 3 non-consistently banned.
What would you have if you had Germany simming against Korea simming? Is Germany still going to win?
Yes.
Production wins hands down.
The early production Germany is like once if they get Hanses up, you're not beating them unless you've already conquered another civ.
Or what if it's like a continent and they can't hit you until like 80 turns and then
even worse, because it means they've been able to put all that production into other types of simming and come back in the areas where they may have neglected, such as I was about to say money, but that's not true at all. Science, culture, like they can start pumping out districts really fast, and the German war machine will stop for no one when it starts to conquer people.
Except if you have this super science, you can get spies earlier and then start like sabotaging stuff.
Takes like 2 turns to rebuild.
Yeah, that's the
You just
biggest
have
problem.
that much
The
production
is so high. I mean, it's definitely
strongest yield.
You can always put spies as counter espionage, so it's.
And you can steal. See, Sarnath's the expert on the spies. Can you steal science too? What are the things you can steal with spies?
You can steal technology. You can
tech
steal
boosts.
artwork. Yeah, you steal actual tech boosts. It's not like Masters of Orion where you get to steal whole techs, which is awesome. But
so if you really did it right, could you snowball with that, steal techs and
because they have to be ahead of you. You cannot steal a tech boost if they don't have it. So that aspect of stealing tech boosts is just worthless.
There's
I'd rather
other
put
things.
that in sabotaging that you want to do.
Nah, dude. What you do,
Or gold.
you put the spy there, you gather sources so he has +2 levels. And then what you do is you take the highest possible chance mission, which is going to be steal gold. It always is. And if you're successful with that, which you usually are, it's like a 64% chance after you gather sources. And you're going to get a promotion from every successful mission, up to 3 promotions. And they're random which ones you get to choose from, but some of them are absolutely phenomenal. And, your spies can never get caught. They'll never get caught. They'll be absolutely amazing at stealing whatever. I had a game where I was stealing almost 2,000 gold every 3 turns.
So do you guys think that do you think that Germany's going to get nerfed a little bit, or you don't have much confidence in?
I don't think Germany will get nerfed as much as the prevalence of all of these seemingly overpowered civs is going to make Germany not seem so overpowered in response.
They already are.
My hope is that they take these new civs as a baseline, just like Blizzard did with Diablo 3 in its latest patch. Took the top civs, the top builds, set that as the baseline, and get all the so-called trash civs and bring them up to that baseline, or as close to it as they can get.
They already said that's the approach they want to take, and they've attempted it to some extent with civs like England, and they don't want to make the civs that are OP. People figure out how to make OP less OP because it's fun to be overpowered in some ways.
So is it clear who the worst civ is, or is that just also an opinion?
Come here.
It's an
France.
It's
France, come here.
Norway.
It's come here.
Yeah.
I feel like Norway even has Norway's coast bias is pretty bad.
I think Louis would beg to differ on Norway.
I haven't actually played Norway, but seems like on a fractal map it was pretty good.
I thought you said you want a.
I've never played Norway, but I've been beaten. But on a fractal map, shouldn't Norway be pretty good? But it depends on if they have coastal cities.
England and even Indonesia are still better than Norway.
It just depends on the map, the map's design.
Japan is even better than Norway.
Yeah. The problem with Norway is if there's Norway in a game, everyone's just like, okay, I don't settle coastal. I just negated all of the early game advantages.
But then
you still can, because all you need is like 2 archers in your city and you block his ship.
Well.
But then if you get your ships over where they are, you could prevent them from ever building any ships. Then at some point they're going to get screwed by that, wouldn't they?
The strength of Norway isn't the early game power of the wrong ship. The strength that Norway possesses is
Berserkers.
50% production. You shut your whore mouth. The 50% production towards melee naval units that they get for all of them in the game. Ironclads, subs, the whole 9 yards.
Subs are raiders.
They're naval raiders, yes. But the big point is, I just couldn't remember what the next melee unit was after the ironclad.
Destroyer.
Is it the Destroyer? But the point is that they get that bonus production full time, which is awesome. But the bigger advantage is that, one, they get the cartography ocean travel at shipbuilding, which is absolutely huge. And two, they can hit goody huts, builders, settlers with any of their ships or units with their trait, which allows them to hit those land units and raid.
Oh, like with a galley. So with a galley, you're picking off settlers and
Yeah,
builders.
I can grab.
Yeah. You can grab ruins or villages. You can grab settlers, workers, stuff like that.
It seems like for our duel tournament, Norway wouldn't be such a bad move on a fractal map.
It just depends, you know.
It really depends. Yeah.
Every civ has its own. Guys, hey, quiet down, kids. But you know, every civ has its own strengths and its own play style that it gets its benefits from. The problem is everyone tries to force every civ to the cav level, and that's not where each civ's strength lies. The problem is that cav are simply too strong for their era. They don't have a viable counter, so that forces civs to go to the cav. That's what really needs to be fixed and resolved here.
But that's the great thing about your duel tournament is you've pretty much squashed that cav meta, right? With the tiny map and not starting out super close, that the cav meta should not be big in the duel tournament. I don't think.
We'll see about that. I can think of plenty of situations where cav will be your strongest option because they cover distance fastest and they're stronger than any other unit until you get to tanks, pretty much.
But they can't fight. If you get near them with ships that can hit them, they can't fight back. So you could just start pounding on those things.
If you can get ships to surround them, meaning you build all your cities on the coast and you're dedicating all to the naval game, meaning you have no land units, and if you have any cities that aren't coastal, you're like asking to be overwhelmed by land units. Because remember, if you're taking towards sea, you're not taking towards land, and like. You just better build all your cities coastal if you're planning on going full navy.
Yeah, because Indonesia, you can build, ships with faith, and that's when you combine that with the Earth Goddess, that could really be a powerful thing, I think.
Actually, I was playing around with that last night, and it was really funny because there was a point where I had warred someone, and one of their last cities was in fog, and I thought I was gonna be able to wrap around a peninsula, but there was no connection to this giant inland sea, and so I just went and slashed a settler down and bought 2 zhongs out of that city because I was making 97 faith a turn. Like, you can get some stupid faith production if you do it right, but you're sacrificing everything else.
If Mysterious X is brave enough to finish our game after this podcast, I'll show him exactly what I'm talking about.
I'll show you what's up, Louis. I will totally take you on in an Indo duel.
I'm not afraid of you. I'll do it. Let's do this.
You should be.
Are you ready to do?
I've got Indo confidence now.
Children's card game.
I've got Indo confidence now.
Indo confidence. All right, guys. I think we're gonna wrap this up here. Big thanks to everyone who came by for the stream tonight. Huge thanks to our guests for this week. Go ahead, guys.
Yeah, thanks for everybody coming out. That was a very dynamic conversation, I think, and I didn't derail it too many times, only 3 or 4 times, which is below my average. So,
well, thank you guys for coming around. It means a lot.
Well, see you guys next week.
Have a good night.
See ya.
Huge thanks to everyone who came by, and a huge thanks to all of our listeners throughout the week and those that come back to it later on. We really do appreciate your viewership, and it's you guys that keep this going. If you do enjoy stuff like this, please give the video a like. We'll be on YouTube and my past uploads, as well as the CPL YouTube channel as well. You'll be able to find it there. And by all means, please subscribe to the channel so that you know when the next one comes up. Look forward to seeing you guys.